Good morning, good morning. The week has finally come and we are fixing to transform this whole area right here into a new greenhouse garden. High tunnel, greenhouse, whatever you want to call it. This garden is approximately 50 foot by 100 foot long. We've used this for many, many years and have thought for several years about putting in a greenhouse back here. But either we just didn't have the money at the time or didn't have the commitment for time to do it. Still don't know that I have the time right now. So what I did is I hired a guy to come help me put it up. This is going to be a massive job because it's a massive greenhouse slash high tunnel. In another video, Andrea and Lane and Emily offloaded this off of a trailer. She explained all about it. This is a high tunnel that we got from Growers Solution. Their link is always down below in the description. We use quite a few of their products. And this here being the biggest thing we've ever purchased from them by far. It's just gonna be massive. It is going to cover 24 feet wide and 96 feet long. Which by the time that we're done, it's gonna look like it's covered more than half of this garden, I think. So getting started definitely takes a little bit. You wanna make sure all of it's square and right before you even start. That's why I hired a professional. And we've got to dodge the water line, and it's working out, so the pink flags are where the poles are gonna go. Got it separated. Now just trying to get everything measured out and get it square. So once we get it square, we put up flags every 4 feet where the post would go. We did end up getting in a pretty good rhythm. I would hold the post level and square, and Sean would use his gas-powered post driver. Lane would get a new post ready and help move the ladder. Okay, I know this looks like a quick process, but once we got all the main posts in, then we spent about a day putting together all the bows and the trusses on the ground. Then, once assembled, we laid them out in the high tunnel the way they're going to go up, put the camera in time lapse, and that's why this looks so quick and easy. So on the end wall kits, you'll start with 4 1-inch pieces of round pipe and drive them in the ground, and then that's going to hold your square tubing in place. Set it up, mark it where you're going to cut it. Going to be pretty easy to assemble. Here's a little trick Sean told me about. You heat a knife up and cut the ground cover and it melts it instead of making frays.
We are on day 3. Ben and Lane have worked so hard along with Sean. We could not have done it without him putting up this greenhouse. We are super pumped. We got this greenhouse through the NRCS program, and we got the actual greenhouse from Growers Solution. And but it's been a big project. It's 96 foot long. It's coming along though. This guy has worked so hard. People ask us all the time, how do you get your kids to work so hard? But a couple things, it's all they know. And secondly, we pay them, because who doesn't like to be paid for hard work? Especially when they're 19 years old. So that's our secrets. Just don't let them realize anything else, and money. Okay, one other thing I want to say about that. I was thinking about as I was helping Lane fix that board. I have told y'all before, but if you're new to our channel, or maybe this is your first video you watch for us, I will admit I was not a hard worker growing up. I was the kid just tossing clothes on my floor because I didn't want to hang them back up. And not that that means you're not a hard worker, but just all around, I will admit I was lazy. I was not a hard worker. And since we've been married and doing all this, it's just a skill I've had to literally develop. And the more you do it, the more satisfaction I think you get from a job completed and a job well done. And so I just think also hard work is something that you have to develop, and you have to develop in your kids as well. So just because your kids may not naturally be hard workers, I wasn't either, and I feel like I have become one. And so there's always hope. You just have to expect it, but not expect too much. You don't want to discourage them just because you're like, okay, today's the day you're going to become a hard worker. It doesn't work like that. It's kind of a skill you develop over time, and it's a modeled behavior. So let them see you working hard, and I think you'll see a big difference too.
Making quite a bit of progress. This is Thursday. Actually really hoping to put the plastic on today if the wind don't pick up too much. As you can see, it's coming along very nicely. Finishing up the door. Lane's finishing up the baseboards on this end wall. He's got them all the way around on the bottom, all the way around on the top. Already done on that end. Sean is back there on the very last end of the very last purlin. So we are getting really close. We still got to put the wiggle wire channel over each end here. One down here, one all the way on the other end. And just hope the wind don't get up too bad.
Okay, we ended up putting the plastic on each end, and Sean recommended that we install a sheet on each corner to help reduce the cold drafts during the winter.
Whew! Last and final day. Get the plastic up this morning. We didn't do it yesterday because the wind really started kicking up. It was getting hot. Looked at the forecast, and there is absolutely no wind right now. Perfectly calm conditions. That's very rare for here. So we're gonna get the whole family out here. There'll be 5 of us, and that way we can get it over, make sure it don't snag on nothing. We're gonna try to get it laid out here in the yard, rolled out, and then that way it'll be a nice easy drag over the top.
Being able to loosen that soil and reverse the compaction is going to be really important. But the broad fork, I can feel basically where the tines of the tiller stopped.
Right.
Is going to help to like lift and loosen the soil without flipping it over, which is another important technique, is that when you till, there's seeds that are dormant way down in the soil profile. So then when you till, you basically bring them up to the surface. And this can basically lift and loosen the soil deeper than the tractor can without flipping that soil over. And then also it's going to help get water and air deeper into the soil. You know, a lot of folks talk about raised beds, but for the market gardener, the raised bed is basically just the area you don't walk on.
Right.
And so you can kind of already see this is like raising up a raised bed. And this is designed kind of based on a 30-inch wide bed. And then you basically just walk, you know, around your bed. And then you'll have a raised bed.
One thing I see, like, that I've seen people like try to start no-till, like especially like on YouTube and things, and then people kind of take that for fact, you know, so they just try to recreate that, is just go get a bunch of mulch and put it down and then just call it a garden, you know, and start just planting in it. And then, like you're saying, the ground underneath is still so hard, and it's like, you just can't plant in just hard ground.
No.
You know?
No, and like, that's where like the YouTube and Instagram stuff can be deceiving.
Right.
Is that you'll even see folks growing stuff, but they're growing stuff, but like, if their livelihood depended on it, they wouldn't make it.
Right.
It'll grow, but it won't thrive.
Or you don't see like 6 months down the road what it looks like, you know?
Yeah. Or the same thing when I see people do the raised beds and they're like, fill it with sticks and leaves and stuff. It's like, you need the mineral soil. Plants thrive that way. And so that is the hard part with, like, you never see the end result a lot of times with those things. But the sheet mulching works good for like covering a large area really quickly, and it will improve the soil over time. But like, you're relying on all the soil microbes and worms to do that work that this would be. So like, that might be a 5-year project, you know, or like they say it takes 100 years to build an inch of topsoil, you know, so like just sheet mulching might be faster than waiting 100 years for it to happen naturally, but it might still take 10 years or, you know, so like adding compost and a broad fork is a way to do that in a single season.
So if you're adding compost or like some people just add mulch and then wait for it to break down or whatever, you would still use this to get up under it and loosen up.
Oh yeah, like if you added the compost, and you can kind of see like when I pull back how soil's falling down too. So if you add your amendments in your compost and then you broad fork, all that amendments are going down deeper into the soil. And that's going to basically help fill in those macro channels you're creating so you get better water infiltration. So like if we took a garden hose and now we just sprinkled it here and here, that would puddle and that would soak in. So broad forking in the fall or the spring is also going to help retain water through the summer.
So y'all have worked really hard all week. If you don't know, this is Sean. I'm going to let you just introduce yourself. Y'all probably seen him over on Jill Whispering Willow's videos and Instagram and all that, but I'll just let you introduce yourself.
All right. Hey y'all, Sean Passera, the Mindful Farmer. I have a background in organic farming, and this past year I launched Mindful Farmer, and so I'm building custom greenhouses, chicken coops, and tools. And so we've launched our gardening tools this week. They'll actually be live on our website, but still doing some greenhouse installs, so it's working here. So we've been here all week getting this high tunnel 24 by 96. Y'all gonna be cranking some food out of here soon.
It was huge. It was a big project.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and y'all kicked butt. It was fantastic. We're in the next 30 minutes we'll be done with it.
Yeah.
You've said multiple times this week, we could not have done that without you.
Oh, no.
You'd have just been sitting there crying. Like,
yeah.
What in the world?
And I also told her last night, I said, I am so thankful that I did not do 2 of these.
Yeah. We considered 2 of these, but
yeah, it's a lot of work. And we, like we were just saying, like how much food you'll be able to crank out of this is going to be astounding.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wanted him to come on here and also show a couple of his tools he's come out with, that we are going to purchase a couple of these and use them in the high tunnel. So why don't you tell us about them?
Yeah, so I managed an organic farm for 6 years, and all that time I was basically thinking like there could be a better tool for this, there should be a better tool for this should be designed better. And so now that I've launched my company, I'm trying to make the tools that I wish I had.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is one. This is a broad fork. Broad forks have been around for like 60 years. French tool, lift and loosening the soil without turning it over. So it's a no-till kind of approach to gardening. And what I saw is like a lot of the interns that are working with me were like younger folks, smaller frame, young women that struggle with some of the larger broad forks. And so this one is about 10 pounds, so it's really lightweight. A lot of them have wooden handles, and they always snap the wooden handles. And then also the way the handles are positioned, you kind of have to reposition your body as you're using it. So this one is lighter weight, all steel, and it has this T-handle, so where all you have to basically do is just step backwards. So there's no jumping on it or anything like that. It's a lot less impact on your knees and joints, and so really just designed to be a lot more ergonomic. And it's American steel, and it's all made in Faulkner County. Welded, powder coated, and even the boxes are designed and locally made. So yeah, so we ship these, free shipping nationwide to the lower 48, and even Hawaii. We sent one to Hawaii.
Oh wow!
So that'll be kind of cool. Yeah, that's the finesse.
And what else you got down there?
So we really have like kind of like the tenets of my of Mindful Farmer are going to be less plastic, less peat, and less petroleum. And so whatever we can do to reduce the amount of plastic we're producing, the less amount of peat we're having used in our soil transplants, and then the quieter our farm can be, the least amount of tractor work we can do.
Right.
And so I'm a big fan of soil blocks. So if you're not familiar with soil blocks, they're basically compressed soil.
Right.
And you can make them out of compost as a base. There are recipes for peat-based soil blocks. You can use just whatever seed starting mix is out there and mix it with water. But it makes it like a little brick, basically. And that it holds that structure, and so that way you don't need to basically use any sort of plastic tray to get your seeds started. And some other benefits besides reducing the amount of plastic is also the plant is going to air prune. So like when it hits the edge of one of those blocks, the root prunes itself and goes a different direction. So it uses the full amount of that soil. And it's also going to prevent the root circling you get at the bottom of the tray, which also reduces the transplant shock too. So like whenever you transplant, a lot of times plants will like drop, and they're stressed out about they've been moved from their happy environment. With soil blocks, you get a lot less of that. You can just transplant them, and even some too. Like if we have a really wet spring, or our garden just has a lot of saturation, we can even set the soil blocks a little bit higher out of the ground, like with lettuces, and you're less likely to get slug damage and stuff like that. So yeah, they work super well. So the only downside with the soil blocks is because well, until now, there hasn't been a very fast way to be able to seed them. So you're seeding every single little block by hand. There's a mini blocker that makes 20 little blocks. There's a standing blocker that makes 35. And there's a system where the small blocks fit into a bigger block, which fits into a much bigger block. And so what I've invented is a drop seeder. Yes, so this is a drop seeder. And the way that works is basically it has these plates, and they all connect with magnets, and they're interchangeable with different sizes. And so the magnet holds the plate on, but also acts like a spring. So you can shake your seed, you pour your seed out onto the tray, you shake it until it falls.
And this is a tray it's got a depth to it in here. You can't really tell it, but when you pour all your seeds in here.
Yeah. And then they fall into the first layer of holes, and then whenever you push it together, the holes line up and they drop on top of the soil blocks. And so there's plates for beets, plates for a big one too that I had some flower farmers trying it out, and Lysianthus is a super tiny seed, and it's almost like dust, and so they wanted a plate for Lysianthus seed. So this one will do celery and Lysianthus, just like the ball on a ballpoint pen. Our Instagram, we have I try to come out with like free content just to help growers get more efficient, produce more.
What is that? Mindful Farmer?
Mindful Farmer Arkansas is both the YouTube and Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.